After having his worst game of the season thus far, which came at the hands of the Utah Jazz on November 19th, the social media world exploded in a frenzy of panic, which saw comments such as these about the former All-Star star. The unfair expectations to be number one for Pascal have been cast on him since the day Kawhi Leonard went back home to LA to join Paul George and the Clippers. Pascal has been put under the microscope ever since. And in his defense, there are a few things Raptors Nation should keep in mind before we hit the panic button on P skills. Before we get into some really important details about Siakam, a really quick message: hit that subscribe button if you enjoy in-depth and top-quality Raptors and NBA content. We love producing it, and it would really help us out and motivate us to continue to bring you that dope content. As we all know, Siakam was selected 27th overall by the Raptors in the 2016 NBA Draft. Ever since, 5 number 27th overall picks have been picked in the subsequent NBA drafts. These players have been Kyle Kuzma, Robert Williams, Mfiondu Kabengele, Udoka Azubuike, and Cameron Thomas. Now let's ask ourselves one question given this list. Do any of these players picked in the same spot as Pascal face anywhere near the amount of scrutiny that Pascal does? Are any of them capable of shouldering the weight of our number one option scoring burden? Yet, how quickly many of us Raptors fans forget to alter the expectations to reflect Pascal's amazing ascension from a late first round unknown to an all-NBA forward. It's important for us to remember where he came from before we slander Siakam. We must remember first and foremost that in the NBA, it's just as easy to get on lows as it is to get on highs. As a fan, in terms of our emotions towards our favorite teams, be it from wins or from losses. Following the 6-year NBA veteran's worst performance in this young NBA season, Siakam exploded for a season-best 32 points, 8 rebounds with 2 blocks on 10 of 12 shooting, and a perfect 3 from 3 from behind the arc, not to mention a 9 of 10 free throw percentage. And he did that against the Sacramento Kings. And shortly after that occurrence, it's no secret that Luke Walton was fired. So the Raptors may have just pushed that envelope a little bit. The inevitable to come a little bit quicker for Mr. Luke Walton. And that's not to take shots at the former NBA champion. Luke Walton has earned the respect of many around the league, and we wish him the best of luck, of course. Moving on. Just a game after the Sacramento Kings game, Siakam scored 21 points on 8 of 16 shooting against one of the top defenses in the league and one of the finest defensive players in Draymond Green, while playing as a center in a loss to the NBA's top-seeded team, the Golden State Warriors. Many tones after these performances across the league have changed. From wanting Siakam's head on a stick a couple of nights ago, here are a couple of comments in total contrast, just a few hours after the predecessing comments were made. Take a look. And as you can see, it's easy to be out for a player's head when we think from an emotional rather than a logical standpoint. Another thing we have to remember about Siakam, and this league to be quite frank, is that number ones don't grow on trees. Siakam is still worth the max contract because he's at the cusp of superstardom when he's at his best. And unfortunately, he just hasn't had the right chance and circumstances that served him well enough for him to even become that yet. Last year, Tampa was pretty much a write-off for P skills. Not to mention, he didn't play basketball for months due to COVID protocol, was dealing with health issues at that time, and it was affecting him mentally, emotionally, and obviously physically as well. One could only imagine just how much he cares for this team. Let's ask ourselves another question. How many players of Pascal's caliber, say what you will about his inconsistencies at times, do you think would come play for the Raptors and actually care this much about the team and not just himself? Let's take a look at the reason I said Pascal cares so much about his team.
He was telling me, oh, you have to get a surgery. And like, it was like my first surgery, obviously. I was super scared. Like, I remember just really crying. Like, oh, and I don't think I've cried like that since my dad passed away. So like, it was like really, I think just because of the season that we had, and like, I just wanted to like, you know, go back into the summer. Like I had, you know, so many things that I had planned, and it just felt like another blow, you know, like you have to get through surgery. Just talking about 6 months, you know, just really tough moment for me, and I remember thinking, you know, like it was like the end of the world, you know, for me. Like at that time, and obviously I know people go through a lot more difficult, you know, situations, but it was just tough.
Now, given the fact Pascal is a young man, in all likelihood he does own a cell phone, and imagine how much more pressure us Raptors fans must be adding to him mentally and emotionally when we ridicule him after all that he has accomplished, especially after knowing how much he loves this city. Now, say what you will about Spicy P, but it was not so long ago that it was even a question whether he would even be able to become a rotation player in this league, let alone what he's become. Improvements game after game, day after day, year after year, and the ceiling, as we all know, is really high for Pascal Siakam. He did only start playing basketball when he was 17 years old. He has a championship under his belt and an all-star starter appearance, as well as an MIP already. And I'm sure at some point, those were goals for him. Mighty accomplishments seldom ever happen by chance, especially when taking into consideration the hard work, time, and dedication that must be put in by a player for him or her to achieve these goals. These things are significant, and they deserve recognition and faith, just as much as they did the rewards they produced once accomplished. As you can see, Pascal is a Raptor at heart. Everything about him speaks it. His dedication to getting better, to blocking out the noise, to continue to have faith, and to continue to persevere through the adversity has been proof of his inner identity as a winner. And that's what Masai Ujiri and co look for. They look for those very qualities that can equate to someone who can be built into a champion, into a number one option for her team. Siakam is on a mission to prove something this season, and I don't think it's to any of us. It seems like this mission is more personal. He wants to prove to himself that he can do it. His body language and decisiveness ever since that Utah game, as well as the games before that, are what have proven that when his mind is set, nobody's stopping him. There are many teams today that would take Pascal on their roster in a heartbeat. In all fairness, Raptors Nation should hold off on hitting the panic button with P skills. He is way too valuable of a commodity in a multitude of ways that money simply cannot always buy. Not just in this league, but in life itself. If you enjoyed this take on Siakam, then you're definitely gonna love our take on Gary Trent Jr. We discuss why he has become one of the best defenders in this league. And once again, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date every time we drop those Raptors news bombs and those hot takes. This is your boy Ali from Jurassics. Once again, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Peace.